Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of the Paul Morphy series on my channel. In today's video we're going to take a look at the game between Paul Morphy and Charles Morrian from the year of 1857 played in New Orleans. And in this game Morphy plays without the queenside knight, as you can see. And this is because he was clearly a better player and wanted to give Morrian some chance to also win one of the games probably they played. So in this game Morrian opens up with the move e4, and we have e5 and f4. So it's sort of a king's gambit without the knight, so let's just call it a king's gambit. We have e takes f4, knight f3, just preventing this queen h4 check in the future, which is a bit annoying in some of these variations. And we have the move g5. g5 is just aimed to defend this pawn in the future. For example, if white ever pushes d4, it's just defended. It's just a good move. And now we have h4. h4 takes g5, so Morphy goes for g4, attacks the knight, and the knight goes to e5. After knight e5, the knight is attacking g4, so Morphy just plays the move knight f6, just defending g4, makes sense. Now white goes for the move bishop c4, just developing and also attacking f7 at the same time. And there is no good way to not lose this pawn. You can't really add another defender to this pawn. I mean, the king is defending the pawn, but it's not possible to get another minor piece to defend the pawn. And this is why Morphy decides to not give up the f7 pawn, but instead to give up the d5 pawn, the d pawn, which is now the d5 pawn. And in this position, the best move for white is probably to capture with the pawn, play with a bigger center. For example, let's say you play a move like bishop d6, then white can just play d4 and just play this position up a piece basically. But in the game, bishop takes d5 was played. And I think it's also a good try, but after knight takes d5 and e takes d5, this position is, I think, a bit more preferable for black than the other position. You can pretty much easily capture here on d5, and also you can play bishop g7. This is what probably I would play, but Morphy in this position plays, I think, a great move. I like this move a lot. He plays the move. No, actually, wait, you can try to find the move. This is a perfect time. I will give you a couple of seconds to find the move. In the spirit of a great attacker, Paul Morphy played the move f3, immediately going for complications, immediately going for an attack. Attacking g2. And the best thing here actually is for white to accept the pawn, to play g takes f3. But in the game, white didn't try the move g takes f3, but instead castled. And castling, you can see, immediately equalizes the game. We got the move queen takes h4, as now this pawn is unprotected. Before it was protected by the rook. Now it's just for free grabs basically. And after d4, reinforcing the knight and opening up the bishop, white actually has black has actually the opportunity to go for a perpetual check. And if you're not familiar with perpetual checks, I will just show you how it goes. It would go f takes g2, and you sort of have to be careful about now queen h1 and maybe getting checkmate in the future. So the best move here is actually king takes g2. But after queen h3 would check, you shouldn't go to f2, because then you get hunted down. For example, king f2, queen g, or even g3, I think is better. G3, probably king e1, and then even g2. You get in a lot of trouble, and this is why you shouldn't go to f2. Instead, what we would see probably is king g1, and here black has a so-called perpetual check. He can just check the white king, and after three times basically they would agree to a threefold repetition. Yeah, but instead of going for this draw, which I think Morphy is not known for draws. If you saw some games of Paul Morphy, he always wants to win. He's like a shark. He sees blood in the water, he goes for it. He doesn't take draws. Morphy goes for a different idea. He goes for the move f2 with the check. And objectively, it's not the best move. But we will see why it's a good try. So we have rook takes f2. This is like the only legal move you have in the position. And Morphy went for g3. Now, opening up the h2 square for attacking the king. Rook has to move because rook is also attacked. So we had rook f4 attacking the queen. You can also play rook takes f7. This would be the better try. Now your rook is involved in an attack on the king, and you have to be a bit more careful with black here now. But after rook f4, Morphy went for queen h2, as previously discussed. King f1 is the only move, and now Morphy went for queen h1 with the check. We have king e2, And now queen takes g2 with check again. And in this position, where would you go with the king? It's not that easy to really find out which is the best square for the king. These are the only legal moves here. And if you want, you can try to find the best place for the king. I will give you a couple of seconds. So yeah, if you were able to find it, congratulations to you. The best move actually is king to d3. I will show you why. If you go, I think the worst one is king e3 by far. Because after king e3, you're just getting your rook fork to your king. So this is not good. So for example, king e1, I think is also not that good. Just queen h1 with the check. For example, let's say king e2, then just queen takes d1, king takes d1, and you can push for g2 in the future. For example, in this variation, it's easy to, for example, play with h5, h4 in the future, maybe get the bishop ready to attack this rook somehow if you maneuver it here and here. I think practically speaking, white is in a lot of trouble. Still undeveloped here on the queen side. This is not well playable. So this is why the best move actually is like just king d3, surprisingly enough. But yeah, the benefit of playing king to d3 is now that you have easy plans for development. Let's say it like that. After king d3, Morphy went for the move queen h3, just preparing a discovered check towards the king with g2, for example. And here his opponent went for queen e1. And queen e1 is not the best move. You could, for example, develop the knight or the bishop, for example. But I also don't. I get the idea. I mean, you place the queen on the same file as the king, and you prepare some sort of discovery here. But it doesn't work really because Morphy went for the move bishop f5 with the check. If you capture, then of course queen can recapture with the check, so this is not possible. So instead, his opponent went for king c4, just stepping out of the check. And now Morphy went for the move long castles, just getting a king to safety and preparing to capture on d5 in the future, if possible. Now his opponent went for queen a5, and queen f5 is quite a bit mistake. Still, you have to develop your piece, for example, knight c3 or bishop d2. You just have to get pieces into the game. This is, I think, often what beginners also do as a mistake. They don't develop their pieces, but here you just have to get active. Instead, queen a5, I mean, I get it, you attack a7, but just a simple a6 solves all your problems. And you can actually see that now the engine prefers the black side. Now his opponent went for knight c3, finally developing. We have the move bishop takes c2. This is not the most accurate move, but I think it's a good practical try. You take a pawn and you're happy about it. And now his opponent went for rook takes f7. Just also grabbing a pawn, so both parties basically agreed to take a pawn each. We have bishop d6, just developing, attacking the knight. And yeah, basically this bishop is good at building up some pressure against the king. You can clearly see that the bishop pair here is paying off dividends. And in this position, Morien goes for a nice Morphy move against Morphy. He plays the move, boom, knight b5. And I mean, it's such a nice move. Why is it actually that good? I mean, it builds up some nice pressure here, introduces many tactical ideas in the position. And yeah, I mean, you can capture the knight, and this is what Morphy did with check even. And this is insane. It's completely insane, this move. After a takes b5, we saw the move king takes b5, and now the idea is actually to checkmate the black king. If you play something like h6, then you get mated. This is sort of nice because of course the rook is controlling this square also. So we have to be a bit careful. Morphy here played the move that doesn't lose the game. He played the move king b8, just preventing this checkmate. And in this position, his opponent didn't find the best move. And I just want to show you the best move because I find it so hilarious. The best move is knight c6 with the check, and you don't have a good opportunity to not accept this knight. If you play king c8, then again you get mated. This is not good. So your only move would be to capture the knight. So pawn takes c6, and after king takes c6, it's actually again equal because white has the opportunity to go for a perpetual check. First of all, you have to be careful about not getting mated here on b7. So queen c8 is the only sensible move, and after queen b5 with check, I mean you can't block because then it's still mate. King a8, you have a perpetual check, and this is how the game could end. So I find this quite surprising that giving up another knight for creating this nice, this active king and introducing the threat of checkmate. It's quite surprising that giving up the second knight is the best move. But Morphy didn't go for the best move. He played the move bishop g5, and here you can see that the engine says black is completely winning, but why is black completely winning? And if you want, you can try to find why black is completely winning, and I will give you a couple of seconds. So yeah, basically, black has a good amount of options here to play. If you found, for example, queen h5 attacking both the bishop and the rook, for example, or even bishop takes e5, this was played in the game, or even like queen g2, introducing this threat. I mean, basically so many options to win. But in the game, Morphy played the most accurate move. He played bishop takes e5, and after bishop takes e5, bishop takes d8, as the rook was previously attacked. After bishop takes d8, we got the move rook takes d8. So clearly, it's an exchange, basically 2 minor pieces for rook, but you can't recapture here. This is the biggest problem now in the position. If you recapture with white, if you play d takes e5, then we get rook takes d5, and this would come with check, and you lose the queen in the end. So you can't recapture, and this is why this position is now losing, because you just gave up a piece. We have queen c3 attacking the bishop. Morphy goes for rook takes d5, just grabbing another pawn with check. We have king to c4, just getting the king to safety. And here we have the move rook takes d4. Attacks the king, and yeah, I mean, you don't really have a good move here. His opponent tried queen takes d4, just grabbing the rook. Now you could technically take on d4, but Morphy does it in a nicer way, I think. He plays the move queen to e6, forking or like double attacking rook and king. So his opponent went for queen to d5, just interfering with this check here. So if you take, this is actually now winning for white again. But Morphy just went for the move bishop d3, and it was in this position that his opponent resigned the game. And why do you resign the game? I mean, your king is in check and you don't have a good move. You can't capture with the queen, as the queen is pinned to the king. So you only move, for example, would be to capture with the king, but then your queen, of course, sinks and you lose the game this way. The same applies if you, for example, try to go to c5, then queen to b6 is checkmate. So this is why his opponent resigned on move 28. I hope you enjoyed this game. If you want to see more of this Paul Morphy content in the future, subscribe to my channel, like the video, comment please, and yeah, share this game with your friends or your loved ones or both. I hope you enjoyed this. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.